All right. Hello and welcome everybody to our Q1, Q2 products webinar. My name is Ryan Bickham. I'm our head of product and engineering here at Sift. And as always, I'm excited to be here today and share with you what we worked on in Q1, what we're going to be working on in Q2, and how you can give us your feedback going forward for our roadmap. Yeah, I mean, for those of you who have not been here before or need a refresher, what we're going to do today is we are going to essentially just go through a list of, hey, what did we work on in Q1? What are we going to be working on in Q2? We're going to be asking y'all a few poll questions. So please, if you can answer those poll questions, it's very valuable for us to get feedback from existing customers, prospects, anybody who's thinking about looking into purchasing Sift, or if you're just interested in what we're doing. We always love your feedback. And then at the end, we'll tell you a little bit about how to get involved in our roadmap and how to get any support that you need from us. Great. So what have we been up to in Q1? The biggest thing that we worked on in Q1 is our dotted line relationships feature. So actually, let me fix my phone. I'm using the wrong microphone. There we go. That should be better. Our dotted line relationships feature. So here, this will let you create relationships between people in your organization that are not the formal manager and report relationship from your official data. So you may have heard of this as dotted line reporting in the past. So essentially, if somebody in your organization has more than one manager that they work for, so say that they have the official team that they're on, but they also work on a project somewhere else in the company where they have an alternative manager, you can now define these types of relationships within Sift, and these will appear both on our org chart and on our profile pages. So one big thing we wanted to make sure of for this feature, because I know a lot of our customers really like our org chart and use it as one of the primary things for their company, is we wanted to make sure that these were visible on the org chart. So as you can see on this org chart card, sort of at the bottom here, we're showing the dotted line relationships here, where we can define, hey, like for Madison, like who sort of does she informally report to and formally report to? And if you're more interested in learning about this feature, you can attend our client success office hours. So one thing we do once a quarter for our existing customers is Tim, who many of you may have met, will go and walk through some of our new functionality in more detail with some of our customers. So if you're interested in like diving deeper on this, and I'll obviously answer any questions during this call as well if you have any, but if you want to ask like deeper questions around your specific company and your specific use case, please feel free to join the CS office hours. I'll also be on this call sort of giving my support as well. But if you are an existing customer of the product, you can take a look at our documentation. This functionality is now available today, and it's really just, it's very easy to turn on and off. It's just sort of a flip of a switch inside of your admin dashboard. Great. And then some other stuff we worked on in Q1. That was the big one, but just a few other odds and ends. We performed some sort of behind the scenes mobile app updates that will allow us to now make updates to our mobile app more frequently. So we just got a lot of updates out for that. We had some improvements to our infrastructure monitoring, so just like better able to diagnose issues, especially with things like our SFTP file integration, if anybody's familiar with that. We just put some better monitoring in place. And then as well, we, again, just added some further improvements to the data sync process within the admin dashboard, which like we've talked about in the past, we're continuously looking to improve upon that as well. Go to the chat as well. See it? All right. Great. So what are we working on in Q2? So biggest thing we're working on in Q2 is open roles. So you're going to be able to add open roles to your org chart within Sift. So whether you're actively hiring for a role and you want somebody in your organization to apply to the role, or you're just kind of looking to represent your vacant positions or positions that are to be filled on your org chart, you're going to be able to do that in Sift. You will be able to add these open roles in a couple of different ways. So like the first way is you can do it directly in our platform. So you're just going to be able to go right to the org chart and say, add an open role underneath this person and just create a box right on the org chart, which I know is an exciting way of doing that for all of you, because currently in Sift, you really can't do that with people. But one way of doing it is, again, you can just create the open role right on the org chart and manage it that way. But in addition to that, we're also going to allow you to import open roles from an external system, such as Workday or an applicant tracking system. And the process of doing that will be very similar to the current process that you use to import your data. So you could import sort of a CSV file and just have like a bunch of open roles inside of it. And in addition to the open role being visible on the org chart, it's going to be sort of backed by a Sift page or a profile page. So you'll be able to sort of define a job description to the role, link out to the open role inside of your applicant tracking system, and add any other metadata that you'll need to add. And that is sort of the extent of the feature for V1. I mean, we'll obviously be looking to our customers to provide us any feedback on additional functionality you would like to see, like notifying people of roles being open or just better ways of making these things visible. But for version 1, you'll be able to at least add them to your org chart, be able to understand the role at a deeper level on a profile page. Great. And now we have a few poll questions coming up. We just thought we'd group them a little bit together this time. And our question number 1, which we also asked on the last thing, is which org chart feature would be more beneficial to you? So would it be open roles or the dotted line relationships feature that we just looked at? Great. Looks like a around 50-50 split. That's good to know that we're building things that would be valuable to everybody here. It looks like the dotted line relationships one is a little bit coming out ahead. Perfect. And then now we have a couple of questions that relate more to the open roles feature. So for our second poll question, how would you want to create open roles? Like I mentioned, you'd be able to do them like manually, or you'd be able to sort of import them from an external system. And we're sort of looking to understand how would you do this for the most part? Because like if it turns out that like the external export is the more important thing, for example, we might want to just put more of our resources into like specific systems and things like that. I have a lot of both. That's good to know. Anybody who said both, if you want to like elaborate on that in the chat, I'd just be very curious about that. Is it sort of the scenario where maybe you have a lot of your things from an external source, but like you just might have like some one-off stuff that somebody would like to come in from? Cool. Yeah, thanks. This is super helpful as well. Awesome. And our last question for the moment is, how would you be utilizing open roles in the system? Sort of like what is the use case for? So this is a multi-select question, so you can select more than one. So the first is for internal mobility. So just sort of people within your organization, like looking for a new role at your company. Second is for org planning. So you're planning out like future structures of your organization, and you want to just have roles on the org chart that will exist in the future. Then third is just for like visibility of the open roles within your organization, which kind of crosses paths with these other two, I know, but great. Appreciate that answer as well. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, so in addition to that feature in Q2, a couple of other things that we're working on. We mentioned this on the last webinar as well. This is still something we're working on sort of nailing down, but we hear from a lot of customers that like one thing that like Sift is missing for them is even the ability to do anything like light in terms of organizational planning or being able to edit the org chart. And as we talked about last time, we've been working with Lucidchart on a partnership for the ability for you to like export your data out of Sift and then edit it in Lucid. So we're going to be formalizing this within our product this quarter. So like you'll have sort of like a button on your org chart itself that will let you export some or all of your org chart into Lucidchart for further editing. And the next thing that we're working on, which we're excited about, is we are bringing some more updates to our Microsoft Teams app. Number one is we're going to be integrating with Copilot, which is Microsoft's sort of AI bot, like similar to ChatGPT, where you can sort of input and ask it a question. So we're going to be doing some API integrations there with them. So for example, if you were to ask a question to Copilot that you would like normally ask to Sift, like, hey, like find me somebody at my company who has this specific skill and who works in this department, we're going to be able to integrate Sift with Copilot so that Copilot can return you results from Sift. And then the second thing, which we've been talking about for a while, is the ability to automatically have our meeting app be pinned in new meetings. So currently with the Sift meeting app, you can, the idea, if anybody doesn't know, is like when you're in a Microsoft Teams meeting, you can have like the Sift app on the right-hand side, kind of like the polls app that is currently in this meeting, and it can show you like everybody's profile who's in the meeting. And right now, the organizer of that meeting has to like add the Sift app to every meeting that they want it to be in. But after like a block from Microsoft was resolved, we're finally going to be able to like automatically add Sift to every single meeting. So it just makes it a little bit more usable, not requiring like the organizer to add the app to the meeting every time. So both of these are going to be released this quarter for our Microsoft Teams app as well. Great. And yeah, so this is a sort of a different unrelated question, but just as we think about going down the line in our roadmap, we had asked a question previously about other org chart features that you'd be interested in. This was one that came up a lot. One thing we've heard from people in the past is, hey, it would be great if you could just take the Sift org chart and like embed it into my intranet or embed it into an existing platform. And we just wanted to know sort of how important would this be for you? Would you utilize this functionality if it existed? So the idea here is like, hey, like rather than like having to go to a separate website for Sift, you could just have it like embedded right into your internet. Right. Thank you. Appreciate it. I got it. Cool. Looks like we're right in the middle of that in terms of importance. Awesome. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, and then again, a couple of other minor things. So one, we're continuing to improve some data sync stuff on the admin dashboard, just very minor sort of UX tweaks on the mappings page to make it easier to understand. And one other thing, if you're an existing customer, you might be happy about this. Like we currently have this self-guided onboarding overlay that like shows up at the bottom right-hand side of the admin dashboard that it's sort of meant to help you through like setting up Sift at the beginning, but it currently can get like pretty annoying and always popping up. So we're moving that to like the top of the screen and it will no longer automatically open ever. So we're just making a little change there to make that a little bit better for people. I see the clapping hands. Yes. Awesome. And as always, I know I'm a fast talker. I'm already through pretty much all of my material. As always, you can reach out to us on our feedback board in Sift. That is at feedback.justsift.com. It's also by default inside of your drop-down menu on the top right of Sift within the product to leave any feedback requests there. We look at that board at least once a quarter just to sort of understand where people are at in terms of what they want to see out of the product. And then you can obviously also reach out to us on social media like LinkedIn or via email through our support channel at support@justsift.com. And yeah, always like to plug this to leave us a review. We take pride in sort of our position on G2, and it's something that we're very proud of. We're ranked the easiest to use org chart software. We're up in the sort of leader quadrant of a lot of their grids. So we always appreciate reviews, just whether good, medium, or bad. We just love to hear how you've been enjoying Sift and where you think we can improve. So if you want to leave us a review, we would definitely appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. I know that we're only 15 minutes in, so I mean, if you have any questions or you'd like me to elaborate on anything else I talked about, I would be happy to do so. I'll give everybody a few minutes to leave any questions. Oh, I should go to the Q&A section. Oh, perfect. Will the embedded org chart update automatically as well? Yes, yeah, definitely. So it would essentially be the same as your current like Sift experience, but just the UI would be such a way where it would sort of be right inside of that product. We would have to find out a way to it'd still be interactive. It wouldn't be like a static org chart that's exported. It would still be people could interact with it, move around, etc. Can you talk a little bit more about the open roles? How would I access that? What would it look like in Sift? Yeah, sure. I can go back. I know you joined late, Don. So essentially, we are creating them in two different spots for our first version. So one, they would just be on your org chart. So you'd be able to like see open roles underneath a manager. And you could also create them right from your org chart if you wanted to. If you didn't want to do an automated import via file or a manual import via file, you could do that. And then the other way you can see them is behind those cards on your org chart, you would have a profile page around the role. So you could put in a job description, you could put in a link to an external system, any of that kind of stuff. And we are also for the record like working on uh as you know, for those of you who use like Sift pages in our directory, when you go to like the directory list and you see all of your different people, you can also see like your Sift pages as well, so like projects and teams, etc. And we are working on that for the open roles, putting it in the directory. That's definitely going to be in a future version. But the interesting thing with open roles obviously is like you can have like a bunch of open roles with like the same job title. So like if I have like 25 like software engineer roles open, like we need to find like a better way of like differentiating all of those within our directory page. So we're thinking of different ways of doing that, like breaking it down by department or manager, or things like that. So that's coming, but probably not in the first version where you'll be able to just see all of them in a list as well. Good questions. Oh, back to the chat. Oh, that was Aaron. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Well, I definitely appreciate everybody joining. Always feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions. And I'll give everybody some time back in their day. Always appreciate it. And thank you so much for coming to our webinar.